Republican Governor of South Dakota Kristi Noem's upcoming memoir, No Going Back, is out this Tuesday. She joins us now to discuss. Good morning, Governor Noem.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to be on.
Yes, so great to have you here. So let's first start talking about this book. What is your new book, No Going Back, all about?
Well, this book is really a blueprint for the average American citizen of how they can get involved in their government and in politics. I think most people I talk to are a little discouraged. They turn on the news at night and they see all the division and ugliness, and they think that maybe their vote doesn't matter, that their opinion doesn't matter. And that's not what this book is. This book goes through a little bit of my experience and my background, but it also is a blueprint for average people to let them know what they can do to have an impact on policy. You know, their phone calls matter, their emails matter, showing up at meetings matters. So it goes through a little bit of some of the corruption that's in politics and some of the stuff that's exposing what happens during campaigns in an elected office, but also what Americans can know and how they can get engaged to keep America very special for our kids and our grandkids.
And, you know, we do want to talk about some of the things that have been mentioned. You mentioned lessons learned in leadership in your lifetime, but it's also been reported the book had some inaccurate anecdote about meeting with Kim Jongun while serving as state representative. So what do you have to say about that?
No, I've met with many world leaders over the years. I've served and worked on public policy for almost 30 years. So I've traveled the world at different times, met with world leaders. And so this book will go through some of that. And I'm hopeful that people will read that and recognize that everything that happens here in America, the rest of the world is listening to. They're paying attention to. That we have countries out there that love us and are strong allies to us. There are countries that hate us as well, too. So I think that when the average citizen reads this, they'll understand that what we do here matters and what our leaders say and do matters, and that everybody is listening. And when Donald Trump got into politics, you know, he broke politics. That's why the title of the book is No Going Back. I've heard some people say, oh, I wish we could go back to the way that it used to be. And I always say we're not going back to the way that it used to be. It's very different now, but I think in a good way. Donald Trump is very honest and says what he thinks. He doesn't pretend to be something he's not. And I think that gives a lot of elected officials the freedom to embrace who they are and to have real, genuine, honest conversations with people. And yes, there's challenging times, there's tough decisions. I think we can learn from those to be a better country, and we can all learn from those to be better leaders.
And so just to clarify, you did not meet with Kim Jongun?
You know, I've addressed this before. One thing that I've done is I've asked for a clarification in the book, and that is being done. So in future editions. So I'm thankful for that.
And there's also been some backlash about shooting and killing your 14-month-old puppy Cricket and a goat. Kim, can you just explain briefly your story and the reasoning for including this in your memoir?
You know, this book is just filled with stories. It's filled with, painful decisions in my past, vulnerable stories. I had a choice at one time 20 years ago to make a decision between the safety of my children and a dangerous animal that was killing livestock and attacking people. And so I do talk about that, but I think what we learn from that is that I'm not a person. My political opponents in the past have tried to use this story against me, and I want people to know the truth of it. And I think we've seen some of the lies out there in the news. I hope people buy the book, No Going Back, and they really do get the truth and see that I don't run away from the truth. I don't hide from making tough decisions. I use it to be a better person and to be a better leader for them. And I'm hopeful that people will pick up the book and read it and understand that a diversity of perspectives and experience and people from different, even political viewpoints, instead of being offended by each other all the time, should sit down and talk, have conversations and listen to each other, because that's when we get better policies, and that's when we have a country that can be more successful together.
And speaking of your story and your past experiences, there's also an allegation in the book about former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. Why did you mention that you felt like you were threatened by her?
Because I was. It's a very honest story of the fact that, we shouldn't be competitive with each other, that I wish that all elected officials could support each other. There was never been an opportunity with Nikki to be a mentor or to help. It was very clear from her what her agenda was. And, I understand that Nikki that does one thing may do something completely different a month or two later. She said she'd never run against President Trump, and then she jumps into the presidential race and runs against him. I wish she would endorse President Trump now by her sitting on the sidelines. She's effectively endorsing Joe Biden, and I don't understand that decision at all. I do wish that she would endorse President Trump so we could be unified and really focus on America and making it the country that we can be proud of again.
And speaking of former President Donald Trump, we understand you were recently at a gathering with him. Did he have anything to say about the book and the response that it's been receiving so far?
Oh, I had the chance to visit with him a little bit, but we talked about the election and how he's doing and his family, and you know, he's a wonderful man that cares a lot about people, and I appreciate that about him. That he's going through incredible challenges right now with his political opponents attacking him and using every tool that they can. But I believe that the American people see through this, and they recognize this is a political attack against him and his family, and that at the end of the day, and come November, he'll be successful and he'll be back in the White House leading this country.
And are you personally still considering a possible vice presidency run with former President Donald Trump?
You know, what I told him is that he needs to pick whoever to run with him that can help him win. And that's his decision and his alone. So I think I'll do all I can to be helpful, but he needs to make the decision that will help him win, because we need him back in the White House. We can't continue with 4 more years of Joe Biden.
And is there anything else that you personally want people to know? Any specific message from your memoir that you're releasing?
Yeah, it really is a blueprint of what each citizen can do on what they can do to get engaged, and recognizing that leadership has consequences, that it matters who's in charge. So I go through step by step different policies, what they can do to make a difference in their children's education, what they can do to uphold our constitutional freedoms, how they can get their elected officials to pay attention, to get involved in school boards. I think they'll find it extremely insightful, and it's very unfiltered. It goes through a lot of challenging times, and I think that they will understand at the end of that book that, wow, this is a very different book than a typical political book. This book is much more genuine and honest, and I think they'll really enjoy it. If they buy it when it gets released tomorrow, it's no going back, and I'm excited for everybody to see it and read it.
Governor Kristi Noem, thank you so much again for joining us here on WJZ and CBS News Baltimore. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.